Operation Flashpoint, BattleTech 1721, by Fassa Books. Read by Shrapnel.
Planet Kaumberg, Lyran Alliance, Stuttgart City, 3063.
Lieutenant Reggie Martinez cast a brief glance at the angry crowd swirling around the feet of his grasshopper and muttered a curse under his breath. "This is starting to look ugly," he said. The protesters seemed oblivious to the danger of the multi-ton battle mechs in their midst, content to chant their slogans and wave their banners of dissent from the shadows of the armoured giants in Stuttgart Central Park. To them, it was as though the mercenary battle mech company was not even standing there. Martinez cared little for their political gripes, but the proximity of so many citizens to his mech made him feel paralysed, unable to move without fear of killing an innocent beneath his armoured feet. And with the arrival of Baron Hasseldorf's troops in Stuttgart, that was a feeling the rookie lieutenant could do without. "My sentiments exactly, Lieutenant." The voice of Major Damon Kirkpatrick crackled into Martinez's ear. "But you could try keeping the profanity off the TAC channels." Martinez shook his head in disbelief. "We have rival families closing in on each other during a public demonstration, with us in the middle, and you're worried about my language?" he almost asked, but caught himself short. Instead, he cleared his throat and replied in his most professional tone. "Aye, Major. My apologies, sir." Making sure that his mic was switched off this time, Martinez unleashed another curse as he looked over at the Stuttgart skyline. To the north, against the backdrop of Mount Coleman and the classically designed castle perched atop it, a dozen battle mechs bearing the black-trimmed red colours of Baron Hasseldorf's families continued to approach. Rotating his torso to the left, Martinez saw the mechs from Baron Lasat's landhold marching their way into Stuttgart as well, all freshly painted in Steiner blue with white trim. "Very ugly indeed," Martinez muttered again. "Captain!" A new voice came over the tactical channels. "Are we just going to let these guys march in here? This has all the makings of a gang war." Reggie smiled. "Glad somebody thought to ask that." "It's their planet, Captain Holsteiner," Kirkpatrick replied on the same frequency. "As long as they behave themselves, all we can do is remind them that we're the peacekeepers. Just keep an eye on them. I'll try to wave them off again." "Oh, don't worry about that, sir." Martinez saw the light on his comm panels change, indicating that Major Kirkpatrick's voice was now carrying over all frequencies. "Attention, inbound mech forces. This is Major Damon Kirkpatrick of Kirkpatrick's Pack, representing the authority of the Kaumberg House of Lords. Your presence in Stuttgart is only going to make this situation worse than it is. Our unit and the city police have things well in hand. We do not require your assist." "This is Hauptmann Sean Obergast of the Gipfelsberg Defense Detachment," another voice interrupted. Martinez recognized the title of Lasat's officer, even if he could not place the name or the voice. "We have come merely as observers. The citizens demonstrating today are patriotic nationals of the Lyran Alliance, and as fellow nationals we—" "Stow it, you pompous ass," yet another voice interrupted. This one belonging to Heinrich Hasseldorf, Martinez knew. Reggie twisted his grasshopper around again to face the Hasseldorf's catapult as it carefully continued its march through Stuttgart. "Stuttgart is part of my family's landhold, and your troops are not welcome here. Why don't you turn around and let the police handle this matter?" "And trust our countrymen to traitors like your family, Hasseldorf?" Obergast shouted. "I think not." "Shut up, both of you," Major Kirkpatrick demanded. "My pack is the designated peacekeeping force here. If you don't like it, take it up with the House of Lords, but in the meantime, I am ordering you to stand down and return to your respective bases." The angry shouting picked up by Martinez's external mics diverted his attention to the crowd below once again. Either encouraged by the mech forces or simply brought to a boil after hours of bickering, the inevitable melee finally erupted. Citizens backing both the Hasseldorf families and Lasat's so-called nationalist line now clashed. Martinez could already see the police trying to break up the fighting, even as the mech forces of both families closed in on the park. "This is all we need right now," the mercenary lieutenant groused to himself. The riot became a panicked stampede a moment later when the sound of an autocannon fire suddenly rang out. "What the?" Martinez cried out as his eyes turned upward to see Major Kirkpatrick's flashman recover from the hit, its right flank armour scarred by blast craters. "Who did that?" "Hold your fire! Hold your fire!" Someone shouted on the general frequencies, even as lasers flashed and missiles streaked from both sides of the park grounds. But even a rookie lieutenant like Reggie Martinez could see that the time for diplomacy was over. Alright everyone, welcome to the FedCom Civil War. This is the spoken word version, not the pew pew radio cool FSX version. I'm trying something a little new and seeing which people prefer. So, if you prefer the spoken word, no pew pew, thumbs up this. If you prefer the pew pew, then thumbs up the other video which you will see on the playlist. And we'll take it from there, I suppose, see which one everyone prefers. Anyway, back to the story, and welcome to Kaumberg, full of trees, big cities, and this carries on from the surprise attack which wiped out the High Lords and left a power vacuum. It kicked off the Civil War proper on the planet. Obviously the Civil War is raging right now through the whole FedCom. No one knows if it was an inside job, a false flag operation. You'll just have to use your imagination and guess what it is. This is centered around Operation Flashpoint, which is a really cool little campaign that you can play for tabletop, where you play as the mercenaries and you get to choose which side you end up on eventually. So you play through the campaign and eventually it will push you in a certain way and nudge you in the other way, depending on the results. Or you can just outright choose whether you hate Davian more than Steiner or vice versa. Imagine you're the mercenary company, the thin line separating Davian and Steiner, and if you fail, planetary war. Well, spoiler alert, it fails. According to the law, this planet is decimated, the population mostly killed, cities destroyed, industry wiped out, and the planet is essentially nearly wiped clean. This happened because they had an interesting setup where the planet militia was split in half belonged to Steiner, half belonged to Davian. So you can see why things went bad. It was stalemate from the beginning, but they just went for it anyway and just wrecked everything. That's all we have time for today, but if you liked this story, remember thumbs up. If you didn't, then there's that other button. If you like the SFX version, thumbs that one. If you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way you'll know when new videos come out. If you've got chance and you have Insta, you can drop by my page and see some behind the scenes stuff and other BattleTech related stuff that I'm doing. Until next time, Mech Jocks, stay safe. Bye.